Fear. It's a basic, truly primal instinct. Proof? The way most of us feel right now. And it, too, is contagious. Our cover story this morning is reported by David Pogue.
Julie Beitman has been my friend and neighbor for over 15 years, but I've never seen her like this.
I'm very upset about this. I'm upset. I watch the news around the clock, and that's all I think about.
Has it brought you to tears?
It has.
Like everybody else, she's doing everything in her power to avoid getting infected by the 2020 coronavirus.
I've never touched a doorknob or a handle. My boots are all worn out on the toe.
You're flushing toilets with your foot?
Always. Always.
Oh, here's your bunker. Like so many other Americans, Julie has stocked up on supplies. She's even made her own stylish face masks.
That'll protect me. It'll cover from the top to the bottom.
Even before the coronavirus was considered a pandemic, Julie was taking all the rational, recommended steps. But fear is also making people do irrational things, sometimes dangerous things.
Somebody is going to get hurt!
Panic buying toilet paper. Attacking people just for looking Asian.
This is amazing.
Buying unproven home remedies. And considering gargling with bleach? But we're supposed to be the rational animal.
We're supposed to be the rational animal, but there's a lot going on in your head that's kind of under your conscious radar.
David DeSteno is a psychology professor at Northeastern University who's studied how fear can drive us batty. Under what circumstances do our brains run away with the fear?
So they run away with the fear if we don't have accurate information. Like that guy over there on the subway, he looks like he's going to sneeze and like he's sweaty. Does he have the coronavirus or not? I don't know. When you don't know the information, it gives a lot more range for your emotions to fill in the blank.
Right. So Mr. Spock from Star Trek, he would have an accurate assessment of the virus risk.
Yes, he would have an accurate assessment of the virus risk.
The stress circuit is really there to biologically and mentally, physically help us respond to stress and to help us adapt and survive in the world.
Rajita Sinha is a Yale psychiatry professor and director of the Yale Interdisciplinary Stress Center. She says that 3 factors can make fear spiral out of control.
The first is if it is unpredictable.
Right.
Right? And the second is if it's uncontrollable. Okay? And the third is if it's sustained and chronic.
So how then does this virus fit into these 3 categories?
Yes. So unfortunately, we have all 3 classes of problematic stress.
You mentioned this issue of control. So is there a sense that some of the wilder things that people are doing, gargling with bleach, spraying Chinese-looking people on the subway, are people trying to get control?
Absolutely. We go to the extreme sometimes to gain control, to have a sense that we can do something about it.
I took a lot of naps. I played on my phone. I just killed time best I could.
Mark Jorgensen was a passenger on the Diamond Princess, the cruise ship that quarantined its passengers for 2 weeks in Japan. So, how was your cruise?
Yeah. Other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, how was the play?
At some point, Mark and his wife got the virus. He's now quarantined at his home in St. George, Utah.
I have never had and continue to not have any symptoms. Not even slight cold symptoms, nothing.
But Jorgensen and his wife have experienced irrational fear in another form. Hostile comments online from other people. What sorts of things were people saying out there?
Just let's find out where he is and go get him, and let's, and don't you dare come back to St. George, and you'll regret it if you come to St. George. And
they were threatening you guys?
With the amount of fear this had generated, I should have known that some people would be fearful, and often the way people react to fear is to get angry.
Now, we can't help what we feel. Our brains evolved to respond to dangers that we sense around us. But DeSteno says that we're now sensing danger around the clock
Breaking news on coronavirus.
on our screens.
I'm not saying that's a bad thing. We want to be informed, but we kind of need a software update, right? Our brain hasn't evolved to be able to adjust for what we're seeing in the media versus what's really in our local environment.
Unfortunately, she did die.
Right. Of course, it doesn't help that virus movies like Contagion and Outbreak
If one of them's got it, then 10 of them have got it now. There will be panic the likes of which we have never seen.
have painted a horrific picture in our minds. And social media, like Facebook and Twitter, only make matters worse.
The other thing we know about emotions is they're contagious. On social media, everybody's talking about the threat of coronavirus. Not only am I going to think that it's more frequent, but I'm going to see that fear as a rational signal from them, and it's going to make me want to respond accordingly.
It would be the elderly.
Dr. Albert Koh is the department chair of epidemiology at the Yale School of Public Health. I asked him to help us distinguish rational responses from the irrational ones. So, can you get it from a package sent from China?
No.
Okay, can you get it from sweat?
No.
All right, and just the last thing, ways to kill it. Soap and water?
Soap and water is the best.
Okay, hand sanitizer?
Hand sanitizer, but it has to have more than 60% alcohol.
How about antibiotics?
No, certainly not. So this is a virus. Antibiotics work against fungi and bacteria, so antibiotics won't work.
Remember, stress, anxiety, and fear can be useful. They can drive us to taking healthy actions. The trick is to recognize when our fear has gone off the rails.
I just want one pack.
And become dangerous. Because, as Professor DeSteno says,
right now we're in a perfect storm because we all feel anxious because of what we're seeing. But most of us can't think like epidemiologists. Most of us can't think statistically. And so that fear is filling in the blanks and making us think everything is more dangerous.